Okay, if the thought of anyone finding out how you feel, think, or act with food or your body behind closed doors scares you, I want you to listen to this. My name is Karen Diaz from The Free Life. I am a dietitian. I am a mom of 2 kids, and I'm author of the book Within, Making Peace with Food and Body Image to Create a Happy, Healthy Home. And this book was honestly written because of the power of secrecy, because there was so much that I've heard, and I heard it even yesterday for the, again, every time I talk to women, a lot of times when they start to say things out loud, things that they have, whether they've emotionally eaten or binged, or the things that they think about their bodies, or any different behaviors, and they're like, they don't want to say it out loud. They feel this like instant feeling of like shame and embarrassment. And I come from a family that has struggled with addiction on one side of the family, mainly with alcohol, but I have that personality type. I can do the black and white, all or nothing thinking that, our brain can be wired to do. And I have felt the pull in many different ways. And there's so much power to secrecy. When we feel embarrassed, when we feel ashamed, when we don't want to talk about things and we don't say it out loud, it may feel the hardest thing to say it out loud, but it gives it so much more power. And when I was on the phone yesterday with somebody, what I said to them was, what if it wasn't something to be embarrassed about? When we really think about people who are inspiring, they don't live this perfect life, right? They've overcome, they've spoken out, they've been vulnerable, they've shared, they've, showed you the journey that they went through, through the rearview mirror and where they're at. And you get to a certain place and there's always another mountain to climb, because life would be so boring if there wasn't. And what if it was just like this exciting, fun journey to learn about yourself, to how your body's speaking to you, how different things come up that it just highlights for you to have an exciting journey. Within was written from that place because I knew that as soon as I had my daughter, my expertise started in eating disorders. And so I was a dietitian running the nutrition department at an eating disorder clinic for 8 years or so before I went off into a private practice. And I mean, I've worked with thousands and thousands of women, whether they're ages 11 to 70, all different walks, all different struggles, all different things that they're going through. And when I had my daughter, I knew it didn't matter like how skilled I was at helping these women and doing the work myself. I can only do so much in terms of how I raise her. There is no such thing as a home that you can, create that guarantees that a child is not going to struggle with their relationship with food or their body or have an eating disorder. And so I said, what can I do aside from implementing everything that I have done in my life through my work and through the women that I've worked with? Well, I can control putting out as much content out there as possible, sharing my journeys, sharing what I've learned from working with thousands of women, continuing to work with women. I can put as much out there as I possibly can, so that if she does struggle, I know that I've done what I can do, the best of my ability, and that she does not feel the secrecy or the shame, that she has all of this content out there so she can at least hopefully feel more apt to say something, to ask for help, to not think of it as something to be embarrassed about. And so that's kind of how Within was born, right? So part one is within yourself, and part two is beyond yourself. So with the next generation, with raising kids, regardless of their age, whether you want to be a mom, whether they're babies, whether they're toddlers, whether they're teens, whether they're out of the house and about to have kids of their own, it doesn't matter. It all applies. And I remember that this is a story that's not really related to food, but it paints the picture. So when I was at the eating disorder clinic, I was in my last year or two, I started to become really unsettled. I feel like I had really reached my limit to the work that I was meant to do there in terms of learning and growing. And I felt really stuck and really unsettled because it was a job that I loved, but I had all of these creative ideas and ways that I wanted to serve these women at a higher level, and they just kept getting rejected over and over again. And I couldn't see it at the time, but through the rearview mirror, right, it's always easier to see. And it wasn't until one of the therapists said to me, really, Karen, this center is, they have their own goals. They have their own agendas, like all these ideas. It doesn't mean that they're not good. It means that you're meant to leave to grow bigger. And I realized in that moment, not only the permission, like she did see me, she did see my ideas, that they were valid. It's just that they weren't meant for this container and I needed to leave. But that really scared me because I had never run a business. I hadn't seen myself as a business owner or a salesperson or anything like that. I didn't know what that looked like. The path for me was not laid out and not clear. And that was really scary. But I realized in that moment, if I didn't make that leap, then I wasn't doing in life what my clients were doing with food and body image. And I needed to start to push those boundaries in my life to be the best coach, clinician, anything for them that I could be, because I was limiting myself. But it took a year of being stuck and crying and being afraid to say what I wanted, because I was embarrassed. Like, what if it's scary? The second part of the secrecy part that's scary is once you say out loud something, a behavior that you're doing that you feel embarrassed about, it starts to lose its power. When we keep it inside of ourselves, it becomes bigger and it grows bigger and it becomes more scary or more embarrassing and it more shameful and can perpetuate the behaviors over and over. When we say it out loud, it's like maybe the hardest thing to get it out, but then it starts to lose its power and we can almost see it in a completely different light and take it more lightly and learn the lessons we need to learn. And there's so much goodness there. And as it starts to lose its power, the thing is that to move beyond something that we're struggling with, we have to declare what we really want. And I remember being petrified to say what I really wanted because everybody in my life knew me in a certain capacity. So it felt awkward and weird to say things that I wanted. I wanted to start my own business. I started to realize I didn't want to live in the town I was living in for the rest of my life. It was an amazing town and people were so grateful to live there, but I just didn't want to know what my life was going to look like for the next 30 years. And if I stayed there, I felt like I would. And I was called to move abroad for a period of time and I didn't know why. And it really tested me listening to my intuition, which is also something that I work with women on, is going from that place of having, diets and rules and these expectations of what our body should be and should look like put on us, and using that as our guide or judge of whether we're doing things right or wrong, to harnessing that skill of intuition and trusting our internal GPS to lead us and know that it will never fail us, especially as we sharpen and hone that skill. And so I really needed to lean into that, even if I didn't understand why I was being led in that direction. And it was scary because I didn't know how people were going to react. And the thing is that there was a lot of amazing support. There was a lot of reaction. There was some anger and confusion, or people getting defensive that maybe I was judging where they were at, which I wasn't. It was all about me. Like whether, oh, what, it's not good enough to live in this town, or you want to leave, and, you know, friends or family. There was some of that reaction. And I had to really just stay strong in listening to myself, because I was like, no, it really has nothing to do with you. You don't think that if I could choose to just be content and happy and not listen to this, I would choose that path of least resistance, but I need to listen to that pull, because it's always going to feel unsettling for me. And it's scary to declare what I want. So it's easier to stay in that place of feeling ashamed or secrecy and just hoping that it goes away. But I'm telling you, it doesn't go away. If you feel that pull that, like, okay, yeah, I've tried everything, nothing works, I still feel this chaos around food, I can't imagine ever feeling comfortable in my body, especially if I don't get in shape or lose weight or look a certain way. But you feel this pull, like something keeps pulling you towards listening to this content. Something keeps pulling you towards these ideas. Something keeps pulling you towards, there's more for me. There's more for me beyond this struggle. And it's scary to be like, I'm going to listen to this but I don't know. Like, it's just, I just see fog in front of me. Like, I can't see what's on the other side, but I feel that pull and I know I need to listen to it. It's scary, but it's not going to go away. So I would always ask myself, what is, like, I would do fear setting. And I did this when I made that big leap. It's like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? If I take this leap, if I lean into this feeling, if I go all in on this feeling and I say, you know what? No, I am not meant for this struggle with food. I am not meant to struggle with my body. And you know what? I feel like beyond this struggle, there is something more for me. And I don't know what that is. And it's, maybe I do know what it is, but I'm scary to say it out loud, or I'm worried that it's too late to go for it. But it's there. And it's like, what is that worst case scenario? So you go for it. So you take that leap. So you walk into the fog until you start to see the clear path that's laid out for you. And would you rather know than not know? Would you rather find out that it's not as great as you thought it was? But what if down is, what if it's not as great as I think it is? I'd rather hold on to the hope. What if up is, what if it's so far greater than I ever could have imagined? And that lights me up inside. And that's how I leaned into this. And it turns out it was far greater than I ever could have imagined. And it is for you too. And so now, like, I'm about to walk into another fog for myself, for some goals that I'm setting, that I don't know the path. And I'm very unclear of what it's going to look like. I have this vision, but it's unclear to me, and it's scary. And it makes me want to cry just even saying it. But I choose what if up. What if this is far greater than I ever could have imagined? Not what if I make a public embarrassment of myself and I fail and people judge me. Because I would rather know, and I choose what if up, not what if down. And that's what I want for you. And so the start of learning to trust your intuition and starting to feel excited about this struggle, not embarrassed. Yes, feel excited. You know what? This struggle, there's like cool lessons and there's cool things about myself that I don't even know. And I get to find out about it. And it might be like the weirdest way to learn about it, but I want to learn and I want to see what is on the other side of that fog. That's why I call it the food fog. When the food fog lifts, there is so much waiting on the other side that you can't even see yet. You can't even see it. And the crazy part is like, I see it for you. I see it for you. And so it's my job to keep showing up until you take that first step into it. And so if you're ready to take that first step into it, we are revamping the Break Free course over here at the Free Life and adding in some really cool things that I've been wanting to do just to really make this the most unique experience that you can have, that I've learned over the years has just really been things that you don't see and you don't get to experience in the online space. And so I'm excited for that. But regardless of whether that's a fit for you, in 30 minutes to get clarity on why you struggle and what those next steps are is an invaluable thing. So I'm putting the link to book a call if you want to grab a 30-minute breakthrough session, clarity call with me. I would love to talk to you, and I really encourage you to think what if up and take that step into the fog, because what's waiting for you on the other side is so much better than keeping things inside and feeling ashamed or feeling like you can't say it out loud. Reclaim your power, take it back, because you're never going to regret it. You're never going to regret it. You're never going to look back and say, why did I have hope that there was something better for me? So I hope you have an amazing day, and I'm thinking about you, and I can't wait to get to know you. So just book a call and I will see you there.